Hey, 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 what's up, Soul Warriors? Welcome to the Recovery Soul Food Podcast. Tonight, we're going to meet me, LC, and we're going to tackle a subject that is very controversial, but there needs to be some truth and light shed upon it, and that's medication assisted treatment in recovery. Very, well, I won't say very rarely, but sometimes things come across my heart that I know I must step into. And this is very much a subject that is very, very close to my heart. I've had many rounds and bouts. I've been the best M.A.T client, and I have been the worst. I have had it be an addiction for me, and I've also had it be a lifesaver for me. So tonight, on this Soul Food Saturday night, the Recovery Soul Food Podcast meets me, LC. We're going to talk about M.A.T, the good, the bad, and the ugly stigma. So if you guys don't mind, let's get this shared out and let's get started. All right, let's go. Happy Saturday night, Soul Warriors. Thank you so much for taking time out of your amazing life to come and spend a little time with me. And let's really talk about something that needs to be talked about. Many people know parts of my story because it's what I get to share. But, as we go on in this journey together, we get to hear more and more and learn more and more about one another. And this is very, very, very special and close to my heart. Medication assisted treatment for opioid substance use disorders can be a life saving treatment, but it can also be used as a substitution for another addiction. And I want to talk about that tonight. And I also want to talk about some of the places that you get to when you're in M.A.T treatment. And I'm going to shorten that whole medication assisted treatment down to M.A.T. So for those of you that are not actually, know much about this form of treatment. So when I say M.A.T, I will be referring to medication assisted treatment, which is Suboxone, Subutex, Vivitrol, Methadone, and I'm sure there are some others by now, So we are live right now on the Recovery Soul Food YouTube channel. The actual link is in the comments. Guys, if you would please do me a favor, and if you're watching on Facebook when this is over, please use that link, go over and become a subscriber to the channel, like the videos, and share them out so that we can start getting in that YouTube algorithm and more people can see our videos. I don't know that much about algorithms, but I know that if you get lost in them, it may be hard to come back. So that's with everything. So I see that the room is building up. Steve McComb, so good to see Steezo, the man with the plan, man. That guy is just amazing when it comes to broadcasting, man. I love him. I can't wait to learn more from him. He's an amazing guy. And I'm just telling you, recovery and this journey in recovery, and when you're walking your dream path and your divine destiny path, you have so many people placed in that path that are, man, oh gosh, it's just so amazing. It's part of my recovery gratitude are all the connections I get to make. Livy, love to see you. Julie Perkinson, thank you for being here. Alicia Lee, Good to see you. Anthony Brown from Park Bench to Park Avenue, my friend, author of the acclaimed book and owner of Brown Manor. You guys know Anthony Brown, OAB in the house. Y'all get his book, go to Amazon, vote if you can. He needs to win that award for best new book. And look, he's another guy living his dreams. We start with nothing, man. It's not like we have a dream and then all of a sudden, heaven pours out everything you need and it gets done in a day. No, we walk it and we go step by step, step by step. All right, let me see if I can see Janine, Richard, Zoe. It's so good to see you. Okay, Paula Folsom. Hello, dear. All right, that's all StreamYard is showing me. So let's get to it. Let's talk about M.A.T. Let's talk about my story with M.A.T. I started back in M.A.T. by accident. Here's the honest truth. I was addicted back in the 90s before I even realized you could be addicted to opioid pain pills. In fact, I was coming off of heroin and went in because I didn't know what was happening to me, the sickness and everything. And I went to the doctor having severe stomach pains and stomach cramps, and he prescribed me an opioid pain medicine for that. And so I thought that was the answer. Oh, wow, the doctor has the answer. Yay. Because of course it took it away like that. And then I was off and running very quickly with an addiction to opioid pain pills. And, there's so many things we didn't understand about addiction at that time and what you could be addicted to. In my mind, addiction was to hard drugs. It was to alcohol. I didn't think about it being to something the doctor was giving. And so I went to pick up a fraudulent prescription one day, and lo and behold, the pharmacist was taking a while, but I was sick. You get those gut instincts and, you need to get out of here. You need to get out of here. But the addict part of you was like, just hold on. Maybe you're overreacting. Well, I wasn't overreacting. The pharmacist came back and called me up, and he gives me this little news that if there had been an officer in the building that I would be going to jail that day. And I ran out of there at that point like I was on fire. I stopped and got myself a 6-pack of beer because, hey, I was an addict. I needed to do something. I was scared to death. It was how I dealt with everything in my life, was to get loaded. And I got the phone book because that's what we had back then, pre-internet. I got the phone book. I sat down with my 6-pack and the phone book and the phone, and I started trying to figure out how to get to rehab. What am I going to do? I was scared to death. And I kept going down all this list. And at the time I had a really good job and I had some good insurance. And of course I got able to go to rehab with my insurance way down in Florida. And I was living in Texas at the time. And, like anybody who's not really ready to go, but thinks that they should, I tried to push it out because they wanted to put me on a plane that night. And of course I'm like, oh, no. I need a little while. Give me a month. Well, in that month, I discovered methadone. I discovered that there was a place right in my town that would medicate me for the withdrawals. And I would get my affairs in order. And then I would go to this long-term rehab. The minute and the moment that I went into this program, now please understand, I didn't know anything about M.A.T. Suboxone was not big at that time. It was all methadone. And I didn't know anything about it. Had never been to treatment. I didn't know nothing. And so here was this treatment place. And they did all this blood work and all these things. There was a real doctor there, and they gave me this medicine that within 30 minutes took away those physical withdrawals. But I want you to know that I was not done being an addict at that time. I had just been scared into treatment. I was fearful. I just was looking for a quick answer. and I found it there. And before long, my old addict brain had really kicked in. It wasn't even old, it was still fresh, had kicked in. And before I knew it, I was on such a high dose of this methadone that I couldn't even stay awake. And I had not even experienced the nod out while in active addiction. I had not experienced it with heroin. I had not experienced it with the pills. The methadone was the first thing that gave me that. And it was such an escape. And I became addicted. I thought, oh, this is much easier, much easier. I can go here. It's legal. I don't have to do all this other stuff. But I found myself doing those same things to make sure that I could get a hold of that medicine every single day. You see, it really didn't have anything to do with the medicine or the treatment facility. It had everything to do with me. It had everything to do with me, my intentions, and what I wanted to gain from this form of treatment. And, again, let's go back to, I wasn't in there because I was willing and wanting to go. I was in there because I had gotten the shit scared out of me and I didn't want to go to jail. And so here I am. And I am rolling through this, and this became on and off for my life for many years after. I did end up going to that rehab facility, but I got there. They weaned me off of the methadone, and my job fired me while I was in the rehab center. And so within 2 weeks of getting there, I was being put on a plane to leave, because once the insurance stops, you go. There's no, can I go tomorrow? When the insurance is done, you're done. That was my experience. And I was a very vulnerable, raw nerve at that time. And I was doing really well in that rehabilitation center. I mean, I really felt like I was grasping what was happening to me and that I was gaining the skills that I needed to conquer it. But I was such a raw nerve that when that situation happened, I was in that victim mentality. I felt victimized. I felt stupid for opening myself up to these people. I felt stupid for trusting them. And I'll tell you, within an hour of my plane landing, I had already used again. And then within a week, I was back to my normal dose of pills and opiates, and then some. Because every time we go to relapse, guys, we come with more baggage. We come with more ammunition. We get a little bit of time, and then we go backwards, and we have now gathered more stuff to add to our victimization. We have more guilt and shame to add to our baggage. And so, because that was my only ever coping skill, I dove in. And of course, life for me just got worse and worse. My willingness to commit crimes to support my habit got even riskier. My willingness to lie, cheat, and steal, and those I loved, became second nature. I was growing deeper and deeper into the destruction of addiction at this time. And I had the blame game going loud. That frequency, that station in my head, that was all just, worthless, and people don't really care about you, and all this, everybody hates me, all this other stuff was just turned up so loud that I could not hear any other tape but that I'm a loser tape over and over. Now, each time I got too strung out to be on the street anymore, and I wanted some reprieve, I wanted to try treatment again, I went back to M.A.T. Now, because of time and everything, I don't have the kind of time to sit and tell you every time that I tried treatment without M.A.T. But I did. I tried several times. And for me, the body part outweighed the mental part. And so I was fighting a battle with no strength and no skills. And I was fighting this severe emotional past, this this past that I had been fighting since I was, could remember 3 and 4 years old, fighting, having to deny who I really was, trying to pretend that that wasn't there, feeling unwanted, unloved, neglected by my family, feeling like they were never there for me. And I got harmed, feeling angry and resentful. And that was all the stuff that was coming to the forefront. And then, not to mention all of these physical things that I had going on as well. Because let's not forget, just the sickness of detox was not all that was going on with me. I had had several stomach surgeries, and I had only about 2 ounces of a stomach left. I was dealing with some intense, immense physical pain, but I know that all of it is connected. So my emotional pain really made my physical pain worse, and vice versa. And so I realized so many times that I was fighting a battle that was too much for me to fight alone, but I didn't have the resources to go and do all of those things. And I know a lot of you can understand that. You feel like your hands are tied. Sometimes you feel like it's easier to be in active addiction than it is to get help. And unfortunately, in a lot of situations, it's true. But as we keep standing up and we keep standing out and we keep moving this whole recovery revolution forward, we're changing those things. And they won't change overnight, but they will change if we keep moving towards it and being that change. So let's fast forward now to my successful times on M.A.T recovery, on M.A.T treatment. Now, in 2008, many of you know that the end of 2007, the beginning of 2008, I lost the 3 most important people in my life other than my wife and son. At that time, I lost them back to back. I lost my brother that was 33. I lost him just suddenly out of nowhere, and that snatched so much of my soul away. Within weeks after that, I lost my grandmother. There's no words for where I was. I was in complete active addiction at that time. And it didn't matter with what. It was everything and anything I could get a hold of. I just wanted to die. And I hate saying that because it's so foreign to me now, but it was real then. And within 6 months to the day after my grandmother, my grandfather passed away. Many of you have heard my story that he was my best friend, my only cheerleader, the only guy that was in my corner. At that time in my life, the only family that I had that was still talking to me were my grandparents. And in that moment, I didn't know what to do, but I had made him that promise. Within minutes of him passing away and leaving this world, I had to speak to him over the phone because my addicted lifestyle kept me, you know, chained to this one state. I couldn't just get up and leave. So I had to wait there. And so I got to talk to him on the phone, and he couldn't say anything to me, but I made sure to tell him, I don't know how, but I'll figure this out and I'll do something with my life. And at that time, I didn't know how. I mean, how many times had I tried and failed? And that's the thing, y'all. We keep trying at things with the same mind and the same skills that we tried and failed at it before, and it never works out. And then we convince ourselves that we can't do it instead of opening ourselves up to find new resources, better skills. But either way, I got back on M.A.T at that time because I knew that I that I couldn't fight both battles. I knew that I had to change my head and my heart, but I knew that no matter what, about the third day of laying there just kicking it out, that body was going to come through, and one or the other of them were going to just be too much, and I was going to go back out. So I knew that if I could get to M.A.T, then I could work on my head and my heart. And then once I healed that, I would go for the body. I'd go for that detox. And I did okay for a little while, but I did not commit deep enough to the head and the heart. All of it was for an experience that I'm sharing with you now, though, because I was the client that M.A.T had allowed me to get a job, had allowed me to have a home, had allowed me to have some things in my life. But at the same time, I was very mentally dependent upon that medication. In fact, I gave it all the credit for my success. But a little while going, I started letting people in my family, people that were outside of me, start trying to talk me into getting off the medication. And here's the thing, I did it to please them. I even came up with a great detox plan. I had a great worked out plan, and I went through it. But I had not healed enough of those root causes. I had just been that, got a job, got a stable life, got all of that stuff. I had been that client. I was no longer a stealing, using, doing deal client. I was that client that had my take homes, paid on time, had a job, had my family, but I had not really gotten to the roots of my problems. And so on the advice, on the pressure of others around me, I decided to walk away. And I lasted about 6 months. I still had that same old pain, guys. I still had those same thoughts. I still had that same way of doing things. And about 6 months after the start of the detox process, I was still sick. I was still trying to get through it, still wasn't sleeping. My family had busted apart. My wife and son were now in a U-Haul moving away from me. I had nothing. I didn't really have anybody. And I just went back inside of myself. And I began another bout with heroin. I knew after a while of that relapse that I was not going to be able to stay out like this. I was not going to be able to continue on this way, that I was going to have to do something because I was too old and had gotten too tired to do all this. And I either had to choose to go one way or the other. So for me, it was recovery or death. As I laid there in the bed contemplating my few choices, because I didn't have insurance, I didn't have money, I didn't have any of that stuff, but I wasn't going to let that become an excuse for me not to do something to get myself out of this situation, to bring myself real, true healing. So again, I knew that I was going to have to go into the M.A.T, but my criteria for picking a program at this point was not going to be the one that gave the easiest take homes. It was not going to be the program that had no other care to go with it. And it wasn't going to be a program where it ruled my life and I had no control. So I chose the program that had the rules, had the accountability, and that had a cap that would only go so high. And I went there. And from the very first day in that program, I told them what my intentions were. I told them what I wanted. And I told them then, you can either help me one way or the other. I am going to become free I am going to heal, and I don't care what I have to do. And so that's what I did. I made a decision not to go above a certain level. I made a decision that it was now or never, and that I was going to see exactly what my life had been spared for, that I was going to make real that promise that I made to my grandfather on his deathbed. I was going to find out what it was that I remained here for, and so many of my friends were no longer with us. And I wanted to use the experiences of my life to try and make a difference in the world. And had I not gone to that program, I don't know that I would be here talking to you today. It was accountability mixed with my intention to not go back, to do this and do this the right way. And sometimes I think that it was harder to honestly do that because I was having to learn how to do navigate on this medication that at a certain time of my life caused me a lot of trouble. And so I was really having to figure some things out, to really have to work a program that even if I had to design it, but one way or the other, I was going to heal. I used my counselors. I talked things out. I wanted the toughest one. On the first day that I went in there, I told that counselor that I had, I'm not looking for somebody to co-sign my bullshit. I'm looking for somebody that's going to hold my feet to the fire, give me real life skills that I can use to cope with my issues. I'm looking for somebody that's not going to allow me to walk in here and say, everything's great, everything's fine, just give me my medicine and let me go. I wanted somebody that knew they were here, placed in that facility to change a life. And I was going to be the life they got to change. So I opened myself up. I began to study. I began to look into the mind, how it processes, the disease of addiction, what's happening in the body. I didn't Anything they told me to do, I did, especially if I didn't want to, especially if I thought it was stupid, goofy, or not going to work. I did it with that much more tenacity. I was committed, y'all. And so there are some things that I've learned through these years of being in and out of M.A.T. And I'll tell you this, addiction is so much deeper than the use of substance. In fact, it's just a byproduct of much deeper issues. The things you are escaping from must be healed in order for you not to want to push that escape button. We've got to learn that we can be uncomfortable and achieve change without using, that we can learn new tricks, that we can learn new processes, and that we can retrain our brains, that we can shift our focus, shift our energy, and begin to become a different human being. Now, having your body be regulated at that time while you're working on your head and heart is a valuable thing. And it's a process that happens over time. And there are so many ways, and I think we should probably have like a workshop or something on this, because there are so many hacks and tricks that you can use on your own brain and things that you can do within your own space to start to test the limits of your dependence upon those medications. But what really, really, really inspired me to bring this to you guys tonight is that you all need somebody A lot of you that are on M.A.T are getting advice from folks that don't have experience with M.A.T. And it's not that it's bad advice. It's just advice that comes not without a full experience. And I want to tell you some things that happen to people while they're in M.A.T treatment. Number one, the first 90 days you think are easy. I got this. This is going to be good. I can do this. I can whatever. And then at 90 days, you hit a brick wall. And all of a sudden, it's like you wake up one morning, somebody's flipped the switch on life, and all hell breaks loose. And you are struggling to try to cope because the medicine doesn't do it anymore. The medicine is not creating the magic in you or the ease in dealing that it did in the previous 90 days. And so what we're tempted to do, the addict brain is tempted to go higher on the medication. It says, oh, I must need more. And then you'll start making up all these little reasons why you need more. And of course, the doctors in these places, most of them are not trained in addictive medicine. They are MDs, general practice, DOs, who get a 2-week certification that now allows them to write these medications. And I'll tell you why. And the treatment centers don't want me to say this to you, but I will, because they're cheaper. They don't have to pay them as much. So they start medicating the crap out of all of you. And before you know it, you are absolutely asleep because you're still depressed, because you're experiencing great anxiety. The methadone or the Suboxone is not helping that anymore. And so you swear you need more. You're not sleeping well. You're having anxiety issues. And so all of a sudden, these doctors are medicating you to the point where you are a walking zombie. And because people know you to be on M.A.T, they automatically blame your medicine for it. They blame your methadone. They blame your Suboxone. They blame everything. When in fact, it's the half a dozen other medications for depression, anxiety, nausea, whatever it is. Whatever all it is that we go get. I've been there. I'm speaking to y'all from experience. I ain't speaking to you of somebody, who don't know this stuff. I know. I've been there. I've experienced it on the other side. I watched them do my wife that way. I see friends of mine that their wives are going through that. And it's worse on females. Sorry, fellas, but it's worse on females. Females process depression and anxiety, guilt and shame differently than males. So the females go to the doctors and say, I don't feel good. I can't function. I can't process. I'm not dealing well. And they're all too happy to write you out a prescription. They're not saying to you, we need to get you more therapy. You need to be with your counselor, not just once a month, but once a week. And I need for you guys to start taking responsibility for your own care. I need you to start loving you enough that you say enough's enough. I'm going to take control of my life back. Because they don't go home with you at night. They're not feeling these feelings. They're listening to about 4 words you say, and then they're pulling out the pad. And you are trusting it because we've been programmed in this country to trust whatever a doctor says, does, or writes. And we have forgotten that there is a human emotional part to all of this. And we can get into what these programs are, what their intentions with you are. We can get into all that, and it would all be true. But here's the thing. We don't live in the blame game anymore. Each and every one of us are responsible for our recovery, for our care, for creating our own program if there's not one that fits like a glove for us. And if you're on M.A.T, there ain't. So you got to create it. That's what I did. And I do what I do today because I white knuckled through those first 2 years of trying to figure all of this out. I went through it right by myself. And it was the best thing that's ever happened to me because it gives me the wisdom that I share with you today. I was done using and I didn't go back. That first year, I coped in certain ways, in addicted style ways, because what I'm telling you about is life got crazy on me. And so, sorry guys, my wife woke up and I needed to turn the TV down. But I went through all that. I did my best. And I do sit here before you as a different human being. And so I want you to take the pressure off of yourself to get off your methadone or Suboxone and take that out of the forefront of your mind. And never mind the people that don't understand you and don't understand your treatment that come to you and say, well, when are you going to get off of this stuff? Because most of them are probably type 2 diabetics and take a little something called metformin or something like that. Or they take a thyroid medication or something, and nobody's pressuring them to drop what is helping them. But don't use that as an excuse for you to continue on through an addiction and addictive behavior and then try to say to them, well, LC said that I don't have to get off my methadone, because that ain't cool either. Work on your root issues. Start chasing your giants of emotional distress, guilt and shame, trauma. Start healing those things from the roots. And guess what's going to happen? You're naturally going to move to wanting less and less and less medication. And I'm going to tell you this as well. Anything over 75 milligrams of methadone or even 8 milligrams, and that's a stretch, of Suboxone is useless. It is useless. It is not doing your body any good. At that point, it's making your brain feel better to think that you're on a high dose. I want you to understand how much of this stuff is mental. And I know that it is because I've lived it. And I've done the experiments. Through that time that I was telling you that I was doing all the white knuckling, I was doing experiments with myself during that time. You know, in the first year of M.A.T, you're still learning how to stop stealing. You're still learning how to stop shoplifting. You're still learning how to pay bills, budget, have a home, have a thing. Well, I'm sure that you will disagree, Alicia. I know that you will, but it's okay. You're not exactly where I am. And I'm not here to change anybody's minds or belief systems, because I will carry you through. There will come a time when we all understand this, but we're all at different levels in this recovery process. And it's okay for us to disagree. It's okay for that to happen. And it's okay. We don't have to be angry or offended with one another. I know this message tonight is going to offend people. And I don't like to think about that because it comes from a place of love. But I also know that there's this thing that happens in M.A.T recovery where we have a lot going on, and our coping skills have not reached that healthy, it's their healthiest place. And it's just like when we're in active addiction, when we start getting those thoughts, when we're daydreaming about being drug free, and we start thinking that we're, all I got to do is if I could just stop using, I could have a job and a house, and all this madness would stop. And then we get clean and we find out that the madness doesn't stop. And now all we are is the same internal addict without our drugs or our coping skills. And we fight the battle and we hold back the dam and we try to, hold back all that stuff, and we gain a little bit of clean time and our muscles get sore and they get weak, and all of a sudden life bowls us over and we're in the middle of a relapse. And then we're too shameful to come back, or we're too guilty to ask for help, or our secret's going to get out, or we don't come back from it. And it's because we romanticize that the one thing that we can control is what's going to make it all better. And we do that same thing at a certain place in M.A.T. recovery as well. Life is bowling us over. Life has just opened up the floodgates, and we're still trying to deal with it as the same person now, though, with a stabilized body. And we're realizing, oh crap, my life is still bad. And then we have all the outside resources, the outside sources that say, you shouldn't be on that shit. You should get off that shit. You're not really clean. Da 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 da, blah, 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 blah. And so you start thinking inside of you, I can control this. And if I get off the methadone or the Suboxone, that's got to be the answer, because it's the Suboxone or the methadone that creates all these problems, when in reality, it's this that creates all these problems. And so this is going to remain the same. And now you're in the exact same position. Now you're detoxing, you're going through terribly physical withdrawals, and yet you're still fighting the same internal battles. And I want to make sure that you are safe, because I want to tell you, I've lost more friends to that scenario right there than I have being in the streets, an active heroin addict, to overdoses. I've lost more that go to that. So Anthony has asked a great question. How do we retrain the brain? First thing is, we got to sit down and get clear about what the real culprit of all of this stuff happening in our lives is. We've got to stop thinking that it's this one external thing, M.A.T, using substance, that is going to fix it all. Because here's what I know from my experience. There is no external thing that is going to fix everything that is going on in your life and inside of you. And if you get caught in that train of thought, you're going to find yourself in a very dangerous position. Now, I'm not here at all to advocate people staying on M.A.T or getting off of M.A.T. I'm here to say and to bring awareness to, I've been in that place where you're shaky and you're feeling like you have no hope and you're feeling like this is your only answer. And I'm here to say that that is not your only answer. And so you start retraining the brain, number one, by flooding it with new information. Some people will say to me a lot, you say the same things over and over, LC. I want to hear something new. I'm going to leave you and go listen to so-and-so over here because they're talking about new stuff. Well, I don't talk about a whole lot of new stuff because repetition is how we retrain the brain. repeated information. I mean, think about being in school. What is studying but memorization of the spelling words? Did you read them once and move on? Did you do your math work once and say, oh, I got algebra, I'm good? You did it over and over and over again until it became your second nature. And so with the information that we are trying to shift our brains to understand, we've got to hear it over and over and over again. We've got to listen to messages about your thought life until your thought life changes, until you get so stabilized and strong that you can kick out a bad thought out of your mind before it even sits down at the table, that you don't even let it grow grass on its butt before you got it out of here. And I understand in the beginning, you think that day will never come, but it does. And you will get to a place as you heal and you get clearer about who you are and you become understanding and you open yourself up to that deeper spiritual connection. Because that's been one of my number one gifts of recovery, is a true relationship with my higher power. To go to a place where it's spiritual and then some, where I didn't even think I could go deeper. And it's because I study at it and I want to go deeper. And you got not to be afraid to go deeper within you too. Visit those places that give you great discomfort and do it while you're on the M.A.T. Don't wait and do this stuff until you walk away. Do it now, because to me, my feeling and belief about M.A.T. is it is just a tool. It is not the tool, but a tool that keeps your body withdrawals under wraps so that you can work on your head and your heart. So you're not fighting the full battle all at once. It is not to be used as your lifeline, as the only good thing you have in your life. It is to be used as a tool. And you're going to have to stand up for yourself in your program. You may have to fight them to make you healthy, but fight the fight. You may be called to one day sit in the same chair that I'm sitting in and tell somebody else that they can do this. In the beginning, while I was white knuckling through this stuff, while I had a counselor, I was using my counselor, I was studying EFT tapping, I was studying ways to get through triggers without using and without just suffering. So I learned about tapping. I learned about meditation. I learned about deep breathing. I learned how to get out and get into nature. I learned to get connected. Learned about grounding, where you get barefoot and put your feet to the earth. It was in those times when I had nobody around me that I reached out for my higher power. And guess what? I developed a relationship there to where I knew I wasn't alone. That I had an army of angels walking with me everywhere that I went and through everything. I reminded myself that everything has a purpose, that nothing was by chance, and that I was not just suffering, but that I was going through this stuff for a reason, and that it was all going to be for my greater good. There were times in there I didn't think I was going to make it. Of course. There were times in there that I didn't want to listen to the bullshit. I wanted to sit in my own pity party, and I wanted to feel sorry for myself, and I wanted to blame everybody, and I wanted to be a rageaholic, and I wanted to be angry. And I'm not telling you guys that this takes care of itself overnight. I'm telling you it's a process. And today what you can do is sit down with yourself and start with your thinking. Start with learning what your power is, and that you have the power to decide what hurts you and what doesn't. To start learning about the brain and the emotional process and to go deeper. If you read something, if you hear something, and you know just deep inside of you there's more to it, go deeper into it. Don't just settle for what somebody says. Find out for yourself what's real and good for you. Don't let some doctor, man, tell you what's all right for you. Take control of your care. We do it when we're in active addiction. We go in there and we won't leave until they give us what we want. So we've got ways to do it. We've just got to flip that stuff around for our good and know that we deserve that. You've made mistakes, man. I have too. You've hurt people. You've done things. We all have. But it doesn't count you out from a healthy life. And if you end up being on M.A.T for as long as you need to be, so be it. So be it. But don't just lay there in the hammock of M.A.T and let it do all the work for you, because eventually it will stop. And that's when you'll find yourself going deeper and deeper and deeper. So you see, either way, you're going to go deeper. We are made as human beings to not stay at one level forever. We either want to grow or we'll go backwards. And so when we find ourselves in that place, and Janine finds herself in that place where she says, I don't feel like I want to be in this world anymore, and I don't really know why. There's an awareness issue. There's a disconnect within awareness of the soul. The soul, the heart, the body, and the brain are all disconnected. And it's looking to be pushed into balance. And you know, Janine, it's okay for you to feel that way. It's not okay for you to take yourself out of here, because you have a purpose here. And the rest of us need you here. But it's okay to feel that way, to process through, to sit down with yourself and really go investigate, why is it that I feel this way? We think we don't know because we're on a surface level awareness with ourselves. But I bet if Janine, you, and anyone else within the sound of my voice hears this and you start keeping a thought journal, you're going to start seeing patterns of thought within your life that's going to show you where most of your attention is lying. And that, my friends, gives you a place to work from. We can't fix something unless we diagnose the issue. Just like an engine. You don't take it in for a knocking and somebody just start tearing apart the engine. They got to diagnose what the knocking is. And you know, Janine, that knocking of depression and feeling that way and sadness is generally a knocking from the soul on the heart, on the door of the heart that says, we need something. We need you to love us. We need your attention, not the attention of the outside world. We need your attention. We need you to care about us and see us. And so much of what we go through is our inner child banging on the door of our heart saying, see me, nurture me, feel me, heal me. And you know, once we go there, it's going to upset all the things that we believe or we thought we believed in, the foundations we built. But it's also going to show us how flimsy those foundations were in the first place. And it's going to allow us to start building stable, steady, strong foundations of self-love, worthiness, care, and mighty purpose in this world. And each of you deserve that. And that is upon you. So I want you to take control today of your care. I want you to stand strong for what's working for you in your life. And when you get to those places where you're hearing the outside voices, and if those outside voices make you feel shame inside or guilt inside for something that is working for you, and it makes you want to slump down and shy away, it's telling you, your inside is telling you that's not the advice for you. Because when it is for you and it is divine, it should feel like it fits. Don't shame back from what is working for you. Don't shame yourself away. If M.A.T is working for you and you are following the exact things that I'm telling you today, you're working on your head and your heart, you're healing those roots, you are moving your life in a direction that is producing success, and whatever success means for you, then stand up and be proud of your recovery program, your recovery success. And I know that it's hard. There is so much negative stigma that surrounds it. And so much of that has so much to do with the programs, but it is the clients that get the blame because that's what we do to addicts. And the programs know that. They know that. Go in with your eyes wide open. Make your intention. Have a strong intention of what you are going there for. Keep that forefront in your mind. Don't be led astray by all of the nonsense and noise that comes around there. And please, can I give you this last piece of advice? Try not to cultivate relationships in M.A.T programs, guys, please. Not when you're new and unstable. These are not the places and the environments. I mean, you're going to have to go in there and be strong, guys, because most of these places do not create an environment for healing. You're going to have to be intent on getting your healing. You know, every once in a while, or more than once in a while, you can find a diamond in amongst garbage. And not everybody that you look at in those programs are going to be successful like you are. Many of them are going to fall back on that old subconscious beliefs that say, this is as good as it gets for me. And they're going to continue to live in drama. They're going to continue to live in chaos. They're going to continue to steal, cheat, and do whatever they have to do. But that's not going to be you. And you got to decide that. And as you heal, you will naturally move towards walking away from that, because as you heal, you are going to want to be less and less and less tied to a place, a certain program. You're not going to want to give other people, and you're not going to want to give a medication control of your life. And you guys know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Sometimes that can be like a ball and chain attached to your ankle. But while you're there, take advantage of the opportunity that you have to heal your heart and rejuvenate your soul. Waste no pain. Bring it all into purpose. Keep moving forward, guys. Keep moving forward. You are stronger than you know. You're stronger than you believe you are right now. life is not the mess or the hopeless situation that maybe it seems like right now. That's why I preach to you guys to turn the pain into purpose, to realize that everything that comes to you in life is for you, not against you, even if it makes you work hard. I mean, why do we employ coaches? Why do we put coaches over sports teams? And even in life, we do that because they have to push us in training. And training for a championship game or even the first game of something you've ever played is not easy. Who wants to run to the point that you throw up? Who wants to work out to get healthy and be sore and stove up? It's just the same. Recovery is not easy, but it is training you for purpose. It is training you for destiny. And that training is not going to feel like a massage. But here is the best news of the night. You can do it. You are a champion. You are a warrior. And there's nothing that you cannot do or move through. I know this to be true. I love you guys, man. I really do. I wouldn't just share all this crap with you guys if I didn't know and hope that one little bit of it, even if it's just one, can make a difference in your life. I've been there, guys. I've been there with you, right beside you, going through those doors, smelling the smells, meeting the people, making relationships there, getting screwed over, getting stolen, having somebody live on my couch, getting used. Man, the stories are the same. But be the difference maker in there. Be the difference maker. You can. There are mighty examples in your existence of people that are rocking M.A.T. recovery. So be that example. Stop waiting to see it and just be it. You guys are amazing. Amazing. I want to thank you guys so much for loving on our fellow family members. I really, really do. And, taking care of Janine and Janine, don't worry about trying not to feel that way. You're not wrong for feeling that way, Janine. Try to get in touch with the place in your soul that is screaming out for your attention. That's all it is. Try to find that place inside of you that wants to be seen. And love on you and all of you that may be feeling Janine's way today. And you can't really explain why. Absolute awareness will help you understand these things and yourself. So, guys, I'm going to get out of here and just know that I love you. I believe in you. I care about you. And thank you for showing up here tonight, showing me so much love to sit and listen to me, for sharing this video out and all the ways that you guys support me. I really appreciate you. Remember, when we get done here, if you're not already a subscriber to the Recovery Soul Food YouTube channel, please follow the link that's at the very top of these comments and go over there and like and subscribe and share the videos. My summer season is almost coming to kind of a slowdown, so I'm going to get to really put some amazing content up there for you guys. And if you're not a subscriber, you might miss it. So don't do that. Get over and subscribe. And guys, thank you so much again. Remember, consider becoming a monthly supporter of the podcast. It allows me to pay monthly subscriptions and continue to buy equipment to keep all of this going, these dreams. There is a package for every budget from 99 cents a month up to $29.99 a month. I have such a problem saying that. Always do. But, there's something for everyone. A $4.99 a month package, $9.99, any budget. And I just appreciate you guys showing me that support. You guys truly are amazing. You're helping me live my dreams. And that's why I want to continue to help you live yours. So For the Recovery Soul Food Podcast, I'm Lona L.C. Curry, and I love you so much. I'll see you guys Monday morning for Motivation Monday live, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here where you are today. Lona Curry at Facebook.com and Recovery Soul Food on YouTube. Until then, you guys have an amazing rest of your weekend, and feel and know that you are loved by me. Bye, guys.